Technical difficulties, everybody, but, well, Greg has problems with computers. And obviously he's living in one, and I don't know what the hell's going on.
Machines
trapped me in a box.
Greg has trouble.
So thank you for joining us. This will be recorded live, and we'll end up on the Refresh and Reload channel as well when this is all finished. We have a few people here today with a special guest. I'm Eric Frankhouse of Refresh and Reload. To this side here, Greg, if you want to introduce yourself.
I'm Greg Vaughan with Frog God Games.
And facial hair.
And facial hair. Nice improvement, sir. You look like a man now.
Oh, thank you. Finally.
Finally. And what are you doing for Frog God? Oh, wait. What are you doing for Frog God?
I'm the creative director for their Pathfinder lines, and I'm helping produce and develop Razor Coast with these fine gentlemen. They're on this side of me. You're on this side of me.
I'm everywhere.
Everywhere. And Lou?
Lou Agresta. I'm helping produce Razor Coast and writing on it and editing on it and helping develop it with Greg and doing some art direction and adding undead cannibal pygmies.
Are you trying to say you wear a lot of hats?
I do. That's why my hairline is starting to recede. and yeah, and I know that guy.
The other way. Who's the guy at the end over here?
Oh!
We have a random guest today.
I don't know how I ended up in here, but I'm armed and prepared to defend myself. My name is Nicholas Logue. I may or may not have written portions of Razor Coast. You can prove nothing. And
there's no trace evidence.
Whole questions.
It's all Lou.
There's no trace evidence.
The whole thing. I don't even know my name on. Take my name off the book already. It's Lou's book.
It's all Tim Hitchcock, and we didn't invite him.
I crashed it. In fact, Eric's trying to get me off right now. He's like, how do I get him out of here? He won't leave, so I have to pretend I'm talking to him.
We have quite the rambunctious group, and the drinking really hasn't started yet. So if I look down at all, it's because I'm looking at an iPad for everybody. I got some questions on here for everything. And on top of that, there's questions. You guys are actually going to have to answer questions at the end. I know it's...
Oh, no. I thought we were just hanging out.
We're hanging out, but there'll be questions.
I was told there would be no math.
I can promise you that I won't ask you any really difficult math questions.
Greg actually looks like he's taking some sort of government test right now. He's like, I was told there will be no math on my test.
That's what happens when you're becoming a doctor. You get like facial hair and you start looking burnt out.
Well, you don't have time to shave, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're just busy opening corpses.
Right, but I was going to say that's the good news. He really has experience about things he writes about now.
That's good.
Unfortunately true.
That is really that hurts my soul.
Have you like opened up a corpse? Have you been playing any cadaver?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We took one all the way down.
Oh wow.
To
Wait, for what?
Basically nothing.
Wait, what did you do this for?
He's going to med school.
It's our anatomy lab.
Okay, nice. Nice. I've done that. Mine was for art school, so how fucked up is that?
Ooh. That's quite an art school.
That model never made it out of the room.
No, we're like, we're done drawing you, and what you've been drinking is poison. So, no. Yeah, I've done it.
Yeah,
it's creepy.
So, Eric, the questions were actually mailed in by interested folks, fans.
Yeah, we had 31 questions mailed in.
So far.
So far, that was as of.
I wrote about 30 of them.
He had to raise his ego up, and he figured it was the best way.
I was like, Nick, tell us
but
how
no, we
you
had 31 emails at 4 o'clock. We've had a few since then. If we have time, I'll shuffle through some of the later ones. I have some names on them. Not everybody gave their names. I have a Twitter feed as well where people can do stuff. Twitter feed can be found on our website, which is Ask R&R. So you can find that on the website, which is refreshandreload.com. Everything's on the right-hand side for you. Or in the last two posts, you can find anything you need to know. As a matter of fact, I can be a really somewhat nice person here. I know, it's a rarity. I know. And I will also put it in the Hangouts for those that are in here, which is going to be at Ask R&R. But I wanted to start this out pretty simply. So, like, you guys have all been in the industry for quite some time, either working for large companies, freelancing, doing whatever. And you guys have all kind of landed your place at Razor Coast. How in the hell did the three of you get together to do Razor Coast? Like, this has been a long process of this world, this campaign, this mega campaign being built. What happened?
Yeah, you want me to answer that?
Start with the easy questions.
Yeah. Hell no.
You got a couple hours?
Right on
I'll start if you guys want.
Go for it, Nick.
Yeah, okay, all right. So, like, it must have been over a year ago now, maybe even a year and a half. I was pretty much at rock bottom in my life. And Lou, a very good friend, was like, dude, you're done, son. You're finished with all things in your life. How about I give you a hand with Razor Coast? And I said, wow, that would be fucking awesome. Thank you. And so Lou said, yeah, let me help out. So he managed to sort of start putting some things together for me. He took the manuscript, which, while complete, was a mess, and said, we're going to make this bigger, stronger, faster, leaner. We're going to add content. We're going to get Tim Hitchcock. We're going to get other writers in as well. And we're going to sort of spruce this up, streamline it, make it awesome. And then we're going to find someone who's going to produce it for you. And then I think, Lou, you were already thinking maybe doing Frog God Game stuff, I think.
Yeah,
but,
well,
at PaizoCon, Greg got me drunk and inserted things inside me. And then and said, hey, why don't we do Razor Coast?
So
Nick, we don't have to tell everything, man.
Ideas. He means ideas.
Ideas.
I inserted ideas in my head. What did you think I meant? That's bizarre. What else would I mean?
I didn't think anything.
And so Greg and Lou called each other afterwards, and because I don't touch the business side of anything again, these hands are poison to business. Don't let them get too close to you. Ah! And so they hashed it all out and said, yeah, we're going to do this. And so after that, Lou, sacrificed his whole life, like, to Pele. Pele demands much of anyone who involves himself in Razor Coast. She actually is making Greg go to medical school. He wasn't planning on doing that. But Pele was like, if you want Razor Coast to come out, you're going to have to become a doctor. And,
and then that's not a fireplace. That's the beginning of my house burning down, which was the next thing.
At this point, Lou, I believe that. That's not funny.
Oh, and that was only a lie.
Actually, one of the things that had happened was, we all know Nick. We're all friends with him one way or another. We all belong to a writing circle called the Were Cabbages, and we've all, hung out at various times. And
shout out.
Yeah, and unbeknownst to you, Nick, all sorts of your friends were calling me, going, "Hey, what's up with Nick? Is he okay?" And I was like,
you
"No."
Can put me in that group. I did that shit too.
No, he's not. And one of those people cycling around was Greg, and Greg was like, "Hey, I know Nick is like not doing so well. Maybe this Razor Coast thing is something I can help out with." And so once we had a plan in place about how to make it more ready for publication, the first person that I was talking with was Greg, and Greg's like, well, Kickstarter, Frog God Games.
So tell the truth, Lou. Lou, that's not the truth. Can I do what Greg actually said?
Okay, yeah, please.
What Greg actually said was, after competing nearly as rivals for years in the RPG writing industry, he fell tragically to the lowest depths a human can fall, while I have become creative director of Frog God Games. Perhaps now, as a final humiliation, I will deign to help him put out his book.
and then I'll change it in development and editing, but leave his name on it.
And the best part is, right before release, I'm totally gonna fire Nick.
That would be the perfect end to the story. It'd be like, take my name off
picture of him in the back of the
Kickstarter funds. Just be like,
No, Greg, you should just do like a 500,000. If we make 500,000, we'll actually kill Nick Logue.
Yeah, no. I think one of our
tremendously, I think.
new stretch goal.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
No, I think
inflict pain on Nick Logue.
Kickstarter just jumped $10,000 when we said that.
I wanna add a stretch goal. I wanna add a stretch goal for an iPhone app. That's punch Nick in the junk.
Yeah.
No, you should be like Whack-A-Mole. I can build this.
So like Nick goes dancing
More like
across your
Whack-A
I can do it
Gerbil.
right now.
and you gotta hit the you gotta be like bam 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 bam. And if you
So you took over then.
We've already got it all on camera now for the app.
So you took over, Lou, and Greg, you kind of met up with each other to start doing this then?
Yeah.
You two together kind of thing? So Nick got pushed off to the side, and you guys took over?
Well,
No.
Nick was secluded out on his tropical island somewhere,
Yeah,
surrounded by weresharks and barbed wire. So I had to talk to Lou to talk to Nick. Lou was the only one that could reach. It's like a Howard Hughes thing going on there.
Yeah.
What is he
I was just
eating?
growing my fingernails out, drinking pee out of my jars.
Drinking his own urine.
It's called research.
That's what this is.
Oh my God!
This is
You know,
just my urine. I'm gonna drink some for you all right now, live.
It's sterile and it tastes good.
you know that Rachel is gonna kill us. Blonde Frog
Man
is gonna
versus wild.
kill us,
Nick
Greg.
Logue
After
is
this,
I had Indian food yesterday.
Oh God. My soul
Indian
hurts.
food.
It's all right.
Nothing like recycled biryani.
All right. Eric should get to ask us some real questions
Yeah,
now.
right.
Hey, really, before we get into the serious stuff, is it just me or is Nick like in an institution somewhere? Look at that wall behind him.
It's like he's in a
My
back.
guns.
Well, we said he wasn't well. We never said he got out and was better.
Yeah.
So,
He's got
He's
the
like-
white tile
He was like,
background.
this whole thing is so
How much-
tragic. Why'd they
so
give
much
him a
red
wig?
tape?
No one's supposed to know.
do you know how much
He's like,
red tape there was? to
I
keep
told
him
them
on
I
a
was
hangout?
Napoleon and I needed my pistols.
I was like, I shall
There's
bring
like
them
an
to you.
orderly just off screen.
Yeah. No, I'm not done yet. I get 2 more minutes.
No.
So, all right. So back on some resemblance of a track.
Okay.
So Nick did the initial writing for everything. Lou, you kind of came in, picked it up, and started producing it from there.
Yeah,
Greg,
it was.
Did you come in before Frog God, or did you come in when he went to Frog God?
With Frog God, what we wanted to do with Frog God is we've kind of got this reputation for resurrecting old properties, old adventures that have died or are just in limbo. And
Right.
Razor Coast was a perfect example of that, and everybody wanted to see it come out. A lot of hype about it, a lot of excitement. Plus,
Well,
Nick
you had
and
some
Lou are
awesome
friends.
artwork floating around for years.
Oh yeah. So really all Frog God did was become a vehicle to produce it, and as a result we also wanted it to be part of our campaign world. So
Okay.
my
So now,
involvement
how's that going to happen? You guys are adding this as part of the entire not Necromancer, but Frog God Games world?
Right, yeah. So my production, my development of it really is nothing more than making the peripheral details fit with our vision of the world.
Wait, I don't think I signed off on that, dude.
Yeah, well, that's okay, because we basically took out all the stuff you wrote anyway. It's all loose now.
No.
Nick, that's why all your manuscripts are an edition that
Hitchcock.
they can buy because they're not in the book.
Right.
I like it. You can buy 'cause it's not in there. Nothing I wrote.
No, it's not there. Here's a journal.
Here's like some crazed scribblings that Nick wrote. You can have those if you paid an extra $5 on the pledge.
So
Who's leaving us?
So the writing that I have done on it is very minimal. The whole goal, and that was discussed with Lou and with Nick, is we want to keep this thing intact as its original vision, because that's what everybody's in love with and wants to see.
That's
and
what they
I don't want to
wanted,
be
yeah.
monkeying around with that.
Did you write anything for it at all? Because I was saying you were the writer on it. I had it totally wrong.
I wrote an indulgence on it years ago when it was first coming out.
Yep.
And
all the indulgences.
Other than development, yeah, my writing is very minimal on everything. Is going across my desk, but it's really more checking and adding a detail here or there, or changing a name here and there to make it.
So
fit
you're
the Frog
a
God
historian to make sure it matches everything.
world. Right? Yeah, I'm the canon guy.
It's called continuity checking. So that's he's got to make sure that all of the stuff matches up. So
you said you're wearing a lot of hats for this, Lou. You got one you like the best?
The orange top hat.
Yeah. Wrong game.
My pirate hat. Well, actually, I'm enjoying them all, and I'm not going to weasel out. I'm going to give you an answer. The truth is I really am enjoying them all. The one that's newest for me, and therefore the most interesting, is art directing.
I've talked to you a little bit on the side about that because I have experience in doing that, and it's one of my favorite things to do, actually. It's awesome. It's
a way that I can feel like something I don't have the skill to do at all in any way. I'm somehow responsible for it coming about.
You're hoping through osmosis you can sleep on your pictures and wake up and be able to draw the next morning.
No, it's like I say words and then someone amazing like Cynthia Shepard produces a piece of artwork, and I could be like, yeah, I was involved in that.
Now you guys have a lot of old artwork. Oh my god! You guys have a lot of old artwork, old maps. And things have come across the board back from when Nick was originally kind of heading the project. You guys have added stuff in. How much, like, ratio-wise, you talking art direction from old art to new art? Is it kind of a 50-50 split, or is it a lot of new stuff?
Yeah, there's a fair amount of new art. I can pull up. I actually have a spreadsheet I could pull up and tell you exactly how many pieces.
I don't need to know that much. I just thought you might know offhand.
Yeah, it was wonderful, Nick, when I'm reading your manuscript, right? And I'm reading the beginning. I'm like, this is awesome. I love this. This is so cool. This is awesome. This is where it's really turning into your freaking notes.
And some stuff happens where sharks attack, and the PCs are awesome.
Make TC still good here. That makes excellent game.
So there was a part of the manuscript when I got it that was, Nick's notes are actually incredibly thorough. At the point that you're looking at Nick's notes, it's like saying, you can write it from that. It's just a question of fleshing it out. So, but the notes stuff had not yet reached an art direction stage. So the later chapters of the book needed a lot of new art.
Right.
And so we went out and we got that from some of the original artists as well as new people.
Do you have a lot of? I was saying, do you have a lot of new people on the project as well?
I do. Someone who was really, really helpful was Aaron Acevedo, who had done some art for the original stuff.
He's a good dude.
He is. He's a great dude. And he has a group called Sigil Studios. They produced a lot of work. Cynthia Shepard was willing to come back in.
She's amazing. So's Aaron. You're naming some really great people.
Yeah. Let's see. There is someone I haven't announced, and I'm expecting the last pieces that I, have ordered so far to be showing up. Hugo Solis is producing a couple of things.
Cool!
Excellent.
That's an on-air exclusive.
On-air exclusive. That's what R&R is all about.
Don't tell anyone.
For those that don't know, what else has he done? Any of the other projects so people can kind of relate to him? Well, a lot of people know by the look.
The Book of Drakes with Adam Daigle was involved. Yep. Hugo did a lot of art for that. He's
Wayfinder extensively.
Yeah, Wayfinder. He's Butterfrog on DeviantArt.
Mm-hmm. I mean, this book?
Yes. Yeah.
I like it.
I walked up to Adam and I'm like, you have to sign this. I know you, but you have to sign it. And he's like, I'll sign anything. So, yeah, his art is amazing. I love that guy's art. I think he was doing some stuff for a couple of their new projects right now, too. I think he was working with Frost.
He's working with Josh Frost on his Quantum role-playing game, and I think he's their artist exclusively.
Yeah, it might even be their lead art director or something like that. I remember reading that. His stuff is amazing. I remember him from some of the older days stuff, like from 3.5, he was doing some things as well. So, it's awesome to see him on board.
There were a couple of artists I couldn't get because they were working on their own books at at the time. Mm-hmm. I found this artist in England who I've posted some links up for, who does this incredible troll-like supernatural fairy vicious with a battle axe kind of art.
Sure.
His name is escaping me right now, but it was really good stuff. But he was in the middle of his own book. He's like, I want to, And then there's
always expansions. What are you drinking,
doing, Nick?
Is that blood in a bottle?
No.
It's not in a bottle.
No.
This is not a bottle.
Definitely not.
Not that. Not a blood. No. So you guys are. It's disturbing. Very disturbing.
By the way, that's a table leg. I've got to sacrifice my furniture to Pele.
To satisfy Pele's flames. I like it.
So you, speaking of gods and whatnot, you guys are doing some crazy stuff with this, and I don't want to give anything away for how you guys are prepping this out. But I know you guys are doing a very different style of how to run a campaign with this, and I've talked to you exclusively about it, just in. And how are you putting together this mega campaign? So I don't know if you and Greg want to touch on what the concept was, about why this campaign is different than a normal campaign.
I'd let Lou and Nick do that because they're the developers of that unique
okay.
concept.
Well, then I'm just going to mute Greg. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
All right.
Darn.
I think, one of the things that Nick began developing, and I think, Nick, we both got this given to us by Stravopolis, right? That's where we started seeing, right? Which is this thing called a plot web, and it happens a lot in indie gaming, and basically...
Yes, it does.
Yeah, what you do is you note down on kind of a map all the connections between all the people, places, and things.
Yeah.
And you start seeing when you mind map a plot web, you start seeing that lots of lines will come in for, I don't know, somebody's grandmother. So as a GM, if you kill that grandmother, it's going to impact a lot of things.
Yep, the ripple effect.
And so those are the places where you can put pressure and drive people to action because their characters are all connected to all these events and things. So Nick said, I want my campaign to work on a plot web basis. I want to embed in every encounter connections to all the other encounters so that no matter where you push, and no matter what your interest as a player is, and you follow that interest, you can't help but be sucked into the main stories of the campaign. So the manuscript, when you gave it to me, Nick, was set up with all of that kind of subtly embedded. I saw a lot of stuff that I thought came from your LARP writing, where you connect characters together, right?
Yeah.
So I think the thing that I am trying to add that Nick has seen is that, well, as a GM, how do you navigate this? What's your table of contents?
That was the discussion we had for a long time.
Right, to decide what to bring to your players. So what I decided to do was organize it by story concept. So in the chapter on how to use this as a campaign, you're going to see a list of, at this level of player, here are the stories available. You can take on a drug pusher whose awful drugs are poisoning the streets of Port Shaw. Your players could rescue children who are vanishing into the sewers. Your players could do so. Your players can get involved in this list of stories at this level, and so a GM only has to prep the stories and the associated encounters for those storylines that they think their players will be interested in. When the players bite on some of the bait, that the stories are being chum.
No pun intended.
Not to make any shark or fish references.
Why would you do that?
Once they bite on a storyline, once something interests them and they pursue it and get involved in it, those stories, because of Nick's plot web design, are just all connected to all the other plots that eventually lead like a bunch of streams into the... Do you like this? This is the international hand gesture for streams.
Yeah, you just made that shit up.
No,
I've lead like a...
I've seen that.
I've seen that.
It's the wave.
Oh, that's two streams, Nick. That's two streams.
I'll just do
totally
one.
different. One
Let's do
stream,
one.
yeah.
Sorry.
Is that like the wave?
So they lead to other encounters that eventually all feed into the main plot arcs of the adventure path. So it sort of becomes like, sometimes GMs have this question: how do I get?
What'd you say about my mom and Nick?
I'm sorry.
Nothing, but I'm showing a video later.
Hey, we can do that, actually. Hold on.
GMs are often like, how do I get my players in your own campaigns? Like, how do I get my players interested in the main story arcs? And instead, I think this one is more like, oh, so of course, no matter what they do, they're going to get involved in the main story arc. At least if we did our jobs as designers, that's
it's a smoke and mirror version of an organic campaign. Like, really, there is this web-like railroad system that allows players to make choices like you would if you're running your own campaign, but it's written. It's a written mega campaign.
Yeah. Also, the choices definitely affect the later outcomes, which is something that's interesting about it.
That's why I was resisting the railroad concept because, go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the choices, like, also to give some more background, besides just thinking of it like a plot web, though that's a great way that it was conceived of. Also, in my day job, like in my other life, I do a lot of teaching of like basically Aristotle's plot structure versus episodic plot structure, and so I tried to write Razor Coast the way I run a lot of my home campaigns, which is difficult to put to paper, but is basically episodic, meaning that there's multiple storylines, and any one of them might entice players to get involved with. But they all intersect and connect thematically and also through actual events and relationship arcs, so that they get sort of sucked into this vortex of ever-increasing adventure.
So you have all these things that you want them to do and look at as a GM. How are they going to keep track of this?
What's nice is that there's some different kinds of encounters, and what Lou did really well was put those into words as like the difference between an inciting.
So did you use pictures?
He had just
drawing. Back my own blood onto the page and like swirled it around.
I'm screwed.
But like for example, we have a lot of the first encounters you can kind of throw up for flavor for your PCs are inciting incidents. Okay. Which is the classic Aristotelian plot structure idea and device. Yeah, which is basically these things that happen that basically set something in motion or clue the PCs into something that's happening. And sort of ideally inexorably draw them into adventure. Yeah, that's what we're after. But then the choices that are made thereafter will absolutely affect, mostly in Chapter 5. I can't say too much probably. Stop me, Lou, if I'm being too spoilerish. But in Chapter 5, when these massive showdowns happen and basically all these plots start coming to a head.
That's now Chapter 7.
Oh.
All right.
Wait, hold on. I'm pausing Nick for a second here. How many chapters were there originally, and how many are there now?
There were 5 chapters originally.
So what is there now?
And some appendices.
7 and a much bigger appendix.
Yeah.
Big appendix.
Gotcha.
Like that big. It's huge.
Swollen. It's infected.
How big of a
cut it out?
It's gotta come out.
Cut it out of me, Greg. Cut it out of me.
Yeah. We'll wait for it to rupture because that's when it gets...
Wait, hold on a minute. You want the guy who couldn't figure out how to get in a hangout to cut something out of you?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No. I know. I'm going to see Greg at Gen Con. He's going to walk up and just hit me in the back. I know I'm going to get... So large campaign, multiple story arcs. Is there a way for the players to record what they're doing? Or, sorry, not the players, but the GM... to keep track of what they're doing, because I know for myself, I can remember a lot of stuff as the GM, but most GMs are like, "Oh, I don't have a worksheet."
No, you hit on the exact word, worksheets. We've created a series of worksheets to track things as you go. So they're very simple. I'm trying to condense it into one worksheet, which lists
for the entire campaign.
Yeah, it lists every single NPC. Including the monsters that will talk to you instead of just trying to bite your face.
What do you do, like check boxes or circle or what?
Bingo. Categories across the top. I don't want to get into too much detail because I start giving away things that the GM is tracking.
But there's going to be a way for them to track it.
I think so, yeah.
Excellent.
If we, and I
don't
think
want you to ruin it.
Now, one of the things that Nick was bringing out that I think is important is, all these encounters connect to each other, and so you're going to get pulled into the main plot arcs, sure. But your trajectory for entry shapes the flavor of the experience. That might not have been clear. Yeah, right. What I mean is.
Yeah, there you go.
I like any trajectory that lets me enter Lou.
Hang on. Let me blank the screen. All right.
Oh, no.
Let's go at it, Nick.
I need to go this way. Here,
So what winds up happening, for example, is if you come into this deciding that you want to collect were-sharks as pets, I'm making something up that's unlikely.
I removed that plot arc, by the way.
I was going to say, did you add that, Lou? That's fucked up.
No.
They were little plush toys. It had to go.
If your party decides that they're friends of the were-sharks,
that's a fucking horrible decision.
I know, right?
That's not a good one. That could be tough.
You can play all the rest of the encounters, but they're all going to have their unique flavor. So, whatever decisions you've made that enter into a set of encounters, it creates a totally different campaign by spinning the encounters, and yet it's still the same encounters. You're going to be able to replay Razor Coast a lot of different ways depending on with a very different flavor depending on what you decided to do, what decisions you made.
Let me jump in real quick too, if that's okay. The also writing Razor Coast was also a huge. It was connected to a huge childhood gaming fetish of mine, which was the complete campaign.
Fetishes now.
I don't know about fetishes.
I don't want him to go any further. No more, Nick.
Which is when I was, when I was just a lad playing Dungeons and Dragons with my friends. Are we allowed to say Dungeons and Dragons on the air? Has Wizards gotten corporate enough that that's trademarked now, or we're allowed to say?
Yeah, you know what? I think you're pretty safe right now.
Okay, good. So when I was a lad playing
in
Dungeons
that institution,
and Dragons, learning a little about courage. Yeah. Back then, I was obsessed with. I would create campaigns where, I can remember it actually. Even the name of Port Shaw was originally the name of one of the cities that I adventured with my friends when I was a kid. It was the city I master crafted for our campaigns, and it was called Seatil originally. You probably remember that, Greg. Some of the early material I sent you guys for indulgences, Port Shaw was called Seatil, and I changed it later.
We had to change that.
Name. And it's the kind of name
Nick
you come up with.
lived in Seattle, by the way, when he sent me that stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Seatil?
Can't use that.
In the kingdom of Washingtonium.
And what I did with some of those old cities was literally I would come up with story behind and some sort of mini adventure or subplot for every single building in the town and all of the surrounding area. And I would build the whole thing, and then I'd just be like, go, just play, just go wherever you want.
Make it happen.
It's going to happen to you, and it's going to be awful, and you're going to love it. Yeah. And so that was kind of the idea behind Razor Coast as well, was that you could go anywhere, anywhere in the Gaz. There's an indulgence for it, or there's something that happens there. There's all sorts of stuff that's developed that you can just go, and as you go, you're going to get sucked into the two major plot lines. But at the same time, you could just go and ignore it. I'm a huge fan of the sandbox video game as well, like Skyrim or Red Dead Redemption, and I love that you could just kind of ignore the plot if you wanted to for hours and just go and just beat up some guys who are smuggling drugs into the city for shits and giggles. And that's kind of one other thing we try to do with Razor Coast. Just I'm going to go, this interests me, so I'm going to go fuck up these guys and then see where that takes us from there.
So I was looking through the event chat here as I got a bunch of screens open, and Rachel Ventura, she's part of this project, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yeah. Wait, Blonde Frog is listening?
Oh, no!
Yeah.
I haven't been swearing at all.
Did you know Rachel, my goal was to get you on fire?
We're screwed!
That was my goal. I'm getting you on. I'm taking your job. No. She said that she has something else that's pretty cool coming out. She said, we have another series coming to the RC that will blow your mind. It's going to be worksheets that are electronic from Frog God Games. That'll be later on this. So that'd be kind of cool. I know as a GM, I carry a tablet, which is one of the other screens that are open. That'd be awesome to have an electronic version of the worksheets so you can just click them as you go. No scratch, no nothing. You always have them with you. I'm a huge Google Docs fan. I use them for a lot of my tabletop, even though you can see journals all over the place in this place.
What I like also about the electronic ones is you could share them. You know what I mean? Say you want to show other people who are running the campaign
or
how
you take a section out and you send it to your players. You'd be like, hey, here's what you guys have done so far. We took a 2-week hiatus. Here's where you're at so far in the campaign.
Right.
So
and also other game masters, you could be like, hey, look what we did. Pow, this is how we went through it. You know, what did you guys do?
Right. So Nick was talking about all these names that he had for stuff, and Greg, you said you had to change all the names he's done. As you were going through and reading over the now 7 chapters of Razor Coast, was there a lot of difficulties merging it into your current campaign, or was it pretty easy to kind of just fit itself in like a glove?
There were very few difficulties, and I'll tell you why. First of all, because it's excellently written. Lou and Nick
I thought you were going to say because I'm Greg Vaughan, because that's what I would say.
Well, I mean, I wasn't going to say that, but, Lou and Nick had already taken out C-Till and renamed it, so that wasn't an issue. But one thing I like about Razor Coast and giving it the respect it deserves is we have basically created a part of our world around it. So the only things that really needed to be changed were references to things that are away from the Razor Coast.
Right.
Sure.
So otherwise it fit in seamlessly because we said, hey, we want Razor Coast to be a part of our world. We want part of our world to be Razor Coast.
Nice.
So it was really no problem.
Awesome.
That's probably the easiest thing I've had to hear for fucking merging 2 things together. Usually when I have to merge things together, it's 2 codes that don't belong together, and it's horrible. So, yeah, that's awesome that it went simple for you. So I have a couple questions, unless Lou's got something.
Yeah, I'd like to interject. Blonde Frog is chastising me off screen. But no, apparently our electronic stuff is going to come through Lone Wolf, makers of Hero Lab.
I worked with them when I was working with Ed Healy for a while. They're another amazing company.
And through Realmworks, and apparently not only that, but the Richard Pett product, the Blight, that's going to be part of the campaign world too, right?
Yeah.
That's also going to be.
For those who don't know what Realmworks is, I have a little more information on that because I can't say anything too much, but it's basically going to be a digital version similar to what they put out right now, but for a GM to record their campaign. And they've shown it at Gen Con, I think, 2 years now. And not only can you record your campaign, you can have extra monitors, and your players can click and look at things when they go into the city. You can reveal things as you play. It's a really, really electronically integrated way to be able to use your campaign on your tabletop. But what I like the most about it is they have a plot web feature, and it rocks.
Oh, cool.
It's very similar to Xmind if you used Xmind or any of the other
they did like a mind mapping thing?
Yeah, they did. They're still fleshing it out. I was talking to a couple of designers in one of their meetings that they had. They had this huge web conference thing. Really cool stuff from them. I cannot speak any higher about them. I've met with them twice at Gen Con, and they are nothing but the best of the best when it comes to doing electronic stuff for the industry.
I'm expecting Pele's face to show up. You know.
Your fire's getting hot there. You know, eventually we're gonna look. Your wall's gonna be on fire behind you.
So I'm sorry. So you had some questions. There were some questions for Greg too, right?
Yeah. We got a bunch of stuff. But I'm gonna go through a couple, and we are gonna run this a little longer. Everybody who's watching currently, it won't matter for those that are recorded. But we're running a little longer because we started later, and I want everyone to get their hour that we said we would get. And if you guys have to go somewhere, that's too damn bad. So
I'm yours. I'm all yours.
After this, I'm gonna drive somewhere.
Are you? All right.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Only kidding. Never drink and drive. Never drink and drive.
Wear your
seatbelt. The sad thing about Nick is it just goes right back into that bottle after.
Well, where's Nick gonna drive to? He's on an island.
That's true.
He's in an institution.
I can't get far. That's why I do better here.
You're in your bathroom, aren't you?
He's contained.
I can't wake up 3 states over here. So
I have a funny story about
here on the
waking 3 states over. Not you specifically. All right, so I do have one for Greg. Let's see here. This one doesn't have a name attached to it. It says, some of these questions are not going to pertain to Frog God or Razor Coast. They're just about the people who are here tonight.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Except for Nick, because no one knew he was coming. But I have questions for Nick. So
everybody has questions for Nick.
No, these are good ones. These are good ones, actually, though.
Where were you the night of October 16th?
Greg, we already told you we're showing that video later.
And why were your initials carved in the corpse I dissected in med lab?
All right, so Greg, what was the most difficult adventure you had to write and why? It could be any company. It doesn't have to be Frog God. But what was the hardest thing you've ever had to write and put together?
Who's that question from? Who asked
There's no name attached to it, unfortunately.
No name. I would say...
I'm not going to give the email address out because, well, I mean, I'm a dick, but that's like way up here. So...
I would say Spires of Zinshalost, which was the first adventure I wrote for Paizo's Adventure Path series back in the Rise of the Rune Lords. And the why, because it was this brand new concept Paizo had, and it was the 6th book of the 6-book arc, and they provided an outline, and like the outline for the first adventure was about 3 pages long, and the one for the second adventure was about 2 pages long. And by the time they got to the 6th adventure, it was about a paragraph long. Basically said, the big finale, dragons, giants, lamias, stuff like that. Make it big. Make it big.
Make it huge.
Yeah, so it was the first finale for a Pathfinder Adventure Path, and it was a lot of pressure.
So how long did it take you?
It took me about 3 months. That's usually what it takes me. And I probably spent a month of that just brainstorming. The actual writing didn't take as long.
High five for that.
And you know, they do the articles in the books too. And if you get a hold of Pathfinder number 6, you'll see that every article was written by me also, because they had no plan for that book at all. So
are you serious? I didn't even realize that.
Yeah, the fiction section is not by me, but every
do they keep all those articles in the big bound one that they did?
No, yeah. I don't think so.
They don't have the articles?
I don't have the big bound one, dadgummit, so I don't know. They haven't sent me one yet.
Tell Paizo to get on that.
I know. I'm getting stonewalled, man. It's like the phone company.
Now on that same note,
Eric, perhaps the more important question to ask is how long did it take James Jacobs to rewrite the whole thing? That's probably the...
Oh, snap!
And
took him
Greg
about
should be
2
like,
months
zero,
to rewrite the
zero
whole thing.
time. Now, I was going to say on the same note, when we're talking about the old Rune Lord stuff, they came out with a new book, but I have something at my house that I still need to get Nick to sign. All the notes from the Crazy Hills Have Eyes version that you have, the adult version.
Oh, yeah, I got those.
Dude.
Actually, a lot of those were made semi-public at the Convocation of Madmen panel at PaizoCon.
Really?
Yeah, because
that stuff is nuts.
I felt bad because they were like,
so.
tell us about the awful stuff that all you guys have written. And Greg and Rich were like, Nick?
I don't know why I was there.
He's like, Rich and them were like, just go ahead, do your freak show, freak.
Do most of your things turn out that way, or were you just really aiming for something super horror during that time frame?
That whole time that I was writing, I was really prolific during that whole period, and it was all really dark, awful stuff. Like it was probably what was coming in my personal life.
That was horrible. Whatever
site
of yours
stuff.
That came
like
out
if you
was
read
really
Hangman's
wrong.
Noose or like Carnival of Tears, I think some people hated that adventure so much that like they wanted to find me and punch me in the balls for having written.
What was the original title?
Carnival of Tears. I think it was just. Did it have a different title?
You remember the title that came in the reply email?
Oh, God.
Carnival of...
From Jeremy.
What was it?
Carnival of Poo.
Yeah, Carnival of Poo.
Oh,
there might have been a lot of feces in the adventure originally. and worse.
That was Tim.
Much worse.
Blame it on Tim Hitchcock. Blame it on Tim.
I always blame it on Tim Hitchcock. I blame everything on Tim Hitchcock.
All right, so we got another question here, and this one actually has a name to it. So this would be to Lou. So it says, as the producer of Razor Coast, did anything get taken out that you wish to see put in a future adventure? So another add-on or something down the line. It's from a Mike Klimmer. I don't know where he's from, though.
All right. Well, Mike, no, I don't think there was anything taken out. I'm trying to think.
You just put a lot of stuff in?
Yeah, there's nothing that we took out, but Razor Coast is specifically written to be a sandbox. And in my book, when you do a sandbox campaign the right way, you have a lot of material where you're collaborating with the GM and it's like trying to collaborate with someone who's not in the room. You know, you're collaborating with the GMs who bought the product, so you have to hit just the right note. Yeah, you have to hit just the right note of like, here's enough that we've actually given you something, and now you add more to it. So so there's the first part of your question was anything left out? No. Second part of your question, would it be developed elsewhere? Well, there's a lot to be developed elsewhere. There's a lot that's left undeveloped, enough that we could write more product about it, but developed enough that the GM could write more product about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think the one thing that wasn't there that I really wanted to add in were undead cannibal pygmies.
What? Wait, they're not in there?
No, they are now.
I didn't put them in there.
Yeah.
Lou put them in there.
I was like, I remember reading
Adam
otherwise.
Adam Daigle.
I remember hearing about that and reading about it in like July. So
Yeah, I was very, very disappointed as I read. I'm like, where are the cannibal
I'm
pygmies?
pretty sure Todd has paper
He's
minis.
like, how did Nick miss that shit? What the fuck?
I may ask
Like
Todd
the
if he still has
staple for
them.
Nick.
I talked to him about it in the past, and he said he was going to sketch some up because it was a cool idea. Todd might he's actually staying here watching my dog this weekend because I'm leaving town. He actually might have paper mini versions of the Cannibal Pygmies.
That's pretty cool.
Sweet.
And if you don't know who Todd is, Todd does paper mini stuff for Paizo right now. But
Right.
if he does have them, I'll give them to you guys. I'll see if Todd will let you guys include them on the site. People can download them or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
that'd be sweet.
My favorite part of these undead cannibal pygmies is that they will climb on each other's shoulders, like and
I
make
did
a
that
big
for
totem
IRGN
pole,
this
and
year.
then flesh meld into one giant totem pole with cannibal pygmy faces.
I did mine as 2 goblins in a row, but okay.
I like that.
That's awesome.
I like that. Do
you guys have
they
artwork
become
for
an
them? Please tell
they
me.
become a totem. We do. Yeah, sure. Hang on.
Well, okay. Well, he's looking for the artwork. Then I'll move on to the next question. This is one of my favorites. So, for all those who don't know, ninjas and pirates don't get along. So this guy asked the question and says, are there going to be any ninjas fighting pirates? Because we know how much they hate each other. Johnny Main from Oklahoma. Ninjas and pirates hate each other. There's been books written about it. Are we going to see ninjas in here on top of were sharks and pirates?
No, not unless Lou's thrown him in. No ninjas per se.
Greg?
Oh yeah, there's
in it?
ninjas. Lots of ninjas. No, there's no ninjas.
Ninjas.
There
Lou,
will be
you
now.
messed up, dude.
Will be now.
There will be now.
Pygmy
Everything-
ninja.
Undead
Hey,
cannibal
Lou,
pygmy ninjas.
put that on your
yeah.
roster. You now have to add ninjas before it gets
That's
printed.
what you should have done, dude.
How could I have missed
Ninjas.
it?
Hey, we did
So obvious, Lou.
side note, didn't Ninja Barista win with Pirates vs. Ninjas one year for Iron GM?
I think so.
I think so.
I
Yeah.
think you have to pay that man some homage. I think you might have to
Oh,
put
yes.
some ninjas in there. I'm not kidding.
We got time, right?
There we
Lou?
go.
Did you put-
Do you guys see
They
that?
look like ninjas to me. Look
Oh,
at them.
that is creepy.
Those
Here,
are
hold on.
definitely ninjas.
I will click and put it on the screen for everybody.
Yeah.
Ugh. What are they stepping on each other? That looks like
Yeah.
something out of Hellraiser.
What are
No,
they
they're-
doing?
They're forming an undead pygmy totem warrior. They're
Uh-huh.
making they're sacrificing their individuality to flesh mold into a single totem pole, living totem pole.
Didn't I summarize that with Hellraiser?
Yeah, do you see what I like is you see the guy in the middle is like helping the guy climbing, like
Ugh.
giving him a hand up.
Yeah, that's
oh my
awesome.
God, he is.
That's pretty cool.
That is awesome.
That's
All right.
tight.
That is creepy. It's really creepy. So I got a few more questions we'll go through, and then I have one for everybody to answer. And if I don't see any new ones. Wait, what's it say? But Ninja is a PFR PG class. PCs can make their own ninjas versus pirates. Thank you, Jeremy Miller. That is very true.
That's right.
That's
If
very
anyone
true.
hasn't been playing,
The PCs bring all the ninja to this party.
I think somebody who's playing needs to do a huge journal entry about an all ninja group that plays Razor Coast.
Yep. That would be awesome.
They're like every
The
NPC.
PCs are
they're
so
like,
ninja.
That'd be werewolf ninjas versus weresharks.
I like
they
it.
won't talk to anyone.
Nobody.
You kind of look like a pirate.
The scene is going to look very similar to this. Hold on. So yeah, I was talking the other. And all right.
That's
But no,
the total amount of role playing that ninjas do.
They only stab people. 1 stab for yes, 2 stabs for no.
I like it.
No, there's no ninjas to the players.
I like your
on the players to be. Is that your ninja wardrobe? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
That was really sad.
I look more like a Muslim
looks
woman.
like
Who
Nick
doesn't
is
work so
black
well.
ass.
You're wearing a
I look like I'm
burqa.
wearing a burqa. Never mind.
All right, so what else?
That's
do
how
we
I
have
always
here?
fantasize you.
Here's one for Greg. Mr. Vaughan, I love your work. I'm so stoked to see you're part of Razor Coast Rebirth. My question for you pertains to encounter design. What makes an encounter memorable? Cassidy Harrow doesn't say where.
Oh, that's a good question.
What? I mean, I think we all GM a decent amount, myself included. But I'll go to Greg on it first then, because that's where the question goes to. What makes an encounter memorable?
Well, I'll go out a limb and say it's not the mechanics of it, which I know is kind of counter to current adventure writing theory, I suppose. I think it's the who, the what, and the why. Is it an interesting antagonist in the encounter, or maybe not an antagonist, maybe just somebody you're meeting? Is it somewhere that's cool, Is it a neat setting? But it doesn't have to be that so much. The what can be simple, even if it's the guards, and the why they're there, I think there should be a little bit of a story in it. The encounter that I kind of always come back to is in the old Caves of Chaos. There's a room with goblins, and they throw a bag of gold through a secret door and yell "Bree Ark" to an ogre in the next room, and that's their bribe to get him to come and help. And it probably took about a paragraph to write that encounter for Gary Gygax. And yet you've got simple goblin guards, and they've got this weird relationship with this ogre, and they've got their own little code system. And
yeah, it's cool.
It's just a lot in that one little thing. And that's when I'm designing encounter, I'm looking for something that's got that depth to it, even if it's not complicated. Because a lot of it's really complicated, and I'm not that smart, so I don't like the complicated stuff nearly as much.
Obviously, hang out again. So,
thank you,
Nick. Not Nick. Lou, unicorn, go. Encounter unicorn, hole in the wall.
Quick, get in the car. There's no time to talk. What do you? Oh, you mean
the encounter? You're talking about a great encounter. That is an encounter I will always remember, and I wasn't even there.
Oh, sure. Citadel of Pain.
Yes.
So I write this adventure with Rowan Barton, who I've collaborated on a lot of adventures.
He's in the event chat right now.
He's just brilliant. His writing is amazing. His ideas are great. He's inspirational, and he's just a great author. Yeah, I know. And I owe him money.
That's $1 off. You just complimented him.
Yeah. But so we write this adventure, Citadel of Pain, Gaming Paper. Eric Bauer puts it out, and in it there's this room where a unicorn has been locked in a behind a secret door in a room for like 1,000 years, and so the unicorn has gone insane, right? And when you find the secret door, you discover a keyhole.
Okay.
And so, big keyhole. So people, I ran this at Gen Con for a bunch of people and friends of mine, and they're like, well, we peer through the keyhole. I'm like, oh, okay.
No.
Really, you peer through? Yeah, we peer through the keyhole. Okay, so you catch some motion, So they send one guy through, I think astrally, ethereally, to like check out, and there's the unicorn there, and he's in the room going, oh dear, there's a unicorn, and I tell him that he can see the eyeball of his friend, like showing up on the other side of the keyhole. And so can the unicorn.
This is the beginning of a fantasy train wreck.
Poof. Right through his eye. And he's trying to send a message back going, no, don't look in the keyhole, And they finally get the door open, and the question is, this unicorn has just put its horn through the keyhole and through the head of their paladin. And yet it's a unicorn.
Through their paladin.
Yeah, through their paladin. And so, what are they going to do? So actually they were They
It's a unicorn. What are you going to do?
That's what's going to happen. You're short a paladin.
They actually caught on that there was something going on. They cured disease on the unicorn. They figured the unicorn must be insane because I'm just describing him as covered in dust and
It's a very kind adventuring party after their paladin's head was skewered.
Well, that's just so it was competent to stand trial. Then they executed it.
But in all seriousness, Lou, do you have any rules for making a good encounter?
I think the biggest rule is be flexible. Okay. Usually, you have an encounter, and it should be filled with opportunities, and it should be. I also like the tactics. I like to create interesting spaces that, depending on how the PCs decide to fight, their method, their chosen tactic is going to make the environment change.
Yep.
So if there's like a big stack of crates in the middle of the encounter, one of the crates should be collapsible. So if they jump up on the wrong crate, it's going to change the environment totally. It's going to change the dynamic of the encounter. So I like to create
game design actually.
I like to create encounters where the way the encounter plays out is going to be a little different depending on the tactics the players employ. But I also like to create enough flexibility so that when the players are showing up, I'm like, it says that they should be doing this, but instead I'm going to have the enemies jump off a wall because this player likes to jump off walls. They made a parquet ninja, a parkour ninja. So let's make the encounter go a little that way because it plays to the player's strengths. So so I like to give a GM material that they can be flexible with.
Nick, you got anything?
Yeah, I love adventure design. A couple things. One, and I think it's already been hit on a bit by Lou, an interactive environment I think is key to a really exciting and memorable encounter. An environment that changes, as Lou pointed out, and also can be exploited by sort of crafty and PCs who are looking to get more bang for their buck out of what's happening in the encounter. Also, something for everyone to do. Like basically make sure that every single one of your PCs is going to have something awesome to do in this encounter. I love encounters where there's more going on than just the fight. So you're battling, but meanwhile, one of you has to get this key off this lich's neck. Yeah, in order to open up something to get at his phylactery or whatever. So that there's lots going on. And while some people are duking it out, other people are sneaking around, climbing stuff up, or brewing up some weird chemicals together that's going to make a bomb, or just doing stuff that's going to sort of be less conventional as far as the tactics go. Also, just to hit on what Greg said, story. I like to have the encounters be built up to. In fact, I love when I love when the PCs encounter a bad guy and don't necessarily have the opportunity to just murder him right away, but rather there's one-upmanship and brinkmanship between them, and there's those encounters where they're I'm going to get you, and then eventually it all goes haywire at the end of the adventure, right. And they get the payoff of finally killing the guy, and it's exciting.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with all of those things, and I'm not going to give my 2 cents on it because you guys pretty much said everything that I would say for it, but I agree that environment and build-up are two of the hugest things that you can have for making an encounter.
Oh, yeah.
But the problem with the problem with what Nick and I are talking about, and I think that goes back to what Greg said, is there's a danger of making things too complex.
Yep.
Right?
Keep it simple, stupid is my motto.
Oh,
yeah. What Greg just described with the goblins and the Briark. We shall do that. Is an example of doing what we said simply. That is such an easy to run way that the environment changes, depending on whether or not the PCs stop those goblins. Right.
Right.
Whereas if you create something too complex, the GM's sitting there scratching their heads trying to prep an encounter that so there's a balance to strike.
Right. Right. For those who haven't done it, you should do Iron GM if you want to learn how to GM. You'll learn faster. You'll drown. So okay, I have one more question from the audience, and then I have one for everybody, and we'll wrap it up here for everyone. The last question here, since we did this this rum-styled night of talking and drinking, which is the only way to have a conversation, at least in Milwaukee, where I'm from. They said that you guys should make a specialty drink for people that play Razor Coast.
It's a good idea. I was a big fan of, when I was working on Razor Coast, the Kraken rum.
Yes! High five.
Yeah, I drank a lot of that. Way too much of that.
Kraken with Krabby's ginger beer, because it's real beer with alcohol instead of being Gosling, which is all shit.
I did like the Krabby's ginger beer.
Krabby's is good. Krabby's ginger beer, a little bit of Kraken, a little bit of lime juice. You got yourself a killer, Dark and Stormy, and it's almost all alcohol. So
yep.
I don't know how long your game will go, but it'll be good.
It'll be exciting.
Mm-hmm.
Drink with moderation. Yeah. A buddy of mine ran a game over the holidays, and one of our players was blackout drunk, sadly, within 20 minutes of the start.
That's really funny you mentioned that. I had the same.
We were like, wow, we're
problem.
done.
Names will not be mentioned, but he slept under the game table. Names will not be mentioned. He slept under the game table.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what, though?
You lose people sometimes. They can't hang. They can't hang with the game.
He was hanging with the Kraken, and the Kraken hung him out to dry.
Yeah, the Kraken will do that too. You gotta watch out.
You guys should. You should go talk to some bartenders and make yourself a killer mixed drink of some form. And it has to be rum. That's the only thing that sounds right.
I'll get my resident mixologist on it right now.
Well, my girl is too, actually. I'll ask her. She'll probably laugh at me because I say rum. I'll say rum, and she'll be like, that's what kids drink. I'm like, all right, sorry, honey.
Yeah. Actually, there's because Super Genius Games has donated to one of our pledge levels a PDF that I wrote called Abrasive Pistols. Mm-hmm. Or really, if I'm being fair, there's a lot of Owen stuff in there too, to be sure.
Yeah.
But Abrasive Pistols,
who?
Owen K.C. Stevens from Super Genius Games. So at some of our pledge levels now, you get a copy of this PDF for free, or not for free, for part of your pledge for being a backer. And
for being awesome.
I wrote it originally for Razor Coast, and then wound up publishing it with Super Genius Games before the whole Razor Coast stuff got started. There's a game in there that I wrote, a game within a game. It's a mini game. It's called Maga Maga. Mm-hmm. It includes a chandelier, a naked prisoner, a bunch of flintlocks, not all of which are loaded on a lazy Susan, a cabin boy that has to run around, or girl that has to run around and spin the chandelier, gold pieces hidden under there, and a lot of grog. Right, and I
read this. Oh my god!
Right. So you have to drink your grog, and it's kind of like Russian roulette, except it's that guy on the chandelier that's at issue, and they're marked up where you hit gets you a certain amount of gold. So like on your turn, you grab the pistol, it reveals the gold.
I've been thinking about making a diorama for it.
Right, you have to decide whether the gold on the table in the pot is worth more than what you think you can get by hitting the guy on the chandelier. And every time you miss or pass, you have to drink. So there's a drinking game that you can include in your Razor Coast.
You just need a naked person in a chandelier.
Yeah. And flintlocks.
Firearms.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do my impression of a pirate. What's the name of the game, Lou?
Maga Maga.
I'm gonna be just my impression of a pirate, like in hour 7 of Maga Maga. Ready? How much gold did I grab? You got your pistols, man. You gotta grab gold too.
Shoot him! Shoot him, boss!
There we go.
Ben McFarland said that if back from earlier on, he said if we're gonna fire Nick, you have to do it on Christmas.
Nice.
We're a little past that now, so it's not gonna work.
Hey, we're not that bold here at Frog God.
Ooh, that was low. I like it.
I don't know what that's a reference to. I have no idea what
I have no idea either.
Is that a reference to the behavior of some other company? I don't think so.
I don't know what you're talking about. So,
who sent that in? Who sent that in?
Right.
Ben McFarland really just put it in our event chat.
Ben, no.
Wow.
That's Ben any award-winning McFarland to you.
Oh, my fault. Sorry, Ben. Oh, sweet Ben. May I polish your shoes, son?
Nah.
Please.
Burn.
I'm
No,
burning you right now with my big finger.
The touch of melee.
That's Greg McFarland in my.
Burn your finger and lose fire.
So those are the
Next
main.
time I poke my webcam.
And I have one for everybody doing this thing. And our last questions when we do our interviews are usually pretty good. But usually we do a drink pairing with a video game. But since this is our first tabletop section, because we just started up Critical Roots in our site, I can't really do a beer pairing in gaming because, as we all know, that ends to no gaming. So every single time it ends to no gaming.
Or altered gaming.
Or altered gaming. So instead, I'm going to ask everybody to think of their favorite rule from a game. Doesn't matter what it is. It has to be a rule of some form from any game through the history of games. Your favorite rule that makes you go, this is why I played this game. Oh, it's hard. I will start for you guys.
That's a hard question. Okay.
Give us a for instance.
I made Captain Improv go, what in the hell is going on? For me, my favorite thing was when the Cortex system, either the Cortex system or any of the games that finally introduced the ability for the players to go, here's my coin, now I'm altering the scene we're in, so they can change it to something of their liking. That really allowed my players as a GM to not only just be a part of what I'm playing, but to go, no, you're not the GM for a couple of seconds, here's what the scene is. And what I found it does is it finally makes those people who hide in their shells and don't roleplay. Hands down, my favorite thing to be interjected into from indie gaming into now the Cortex system who uses it.
Yeah.
Oh.
I got two answers.
Well, then we'll start with you. You can use one, and if someone doesn't answer, you can give the second one. Because I see Greg.
I'm sandwiched. I'm in between them. I'm going second no matter what. That's.
I gotta say, I mean, it's a simple answer, which is why I picked two, because I didn't want to just go with a simple answer. But honestly, I think one of my favorite rules, and Pathfinder made it even better, is just the Barbarian's Rage. I love to rage. I love it because for me, it's never about like gaining the +4 to my stats for a couple of rounds. It's about the fact that I get to now roleplay this person in a blind frenzy of anger. And I never do it in combat. I usually wait till someone does something out of combat that my character just can't take. And then he's like, oh, I can't.
And now you have rage powers?
And then usually that's the beginning of an unplanned combat in what was meant to be just a role-playing encounter.
And now you have rage powers to make it better, like, no, your fire means nothing to me.
Right. No, the rage powers in Pathfinder are great. Then you can customize just how your particular barbarian goes berserk on someone, and that makes me really happy. So I love Barbarian Rage. In fact, one of my favorite memories of playing a game at Gen Con, Tim ran this game. Did you play in it, Lou? I played this barbarian who had become civilized and was trying not to rage through the whole adventure. And it was beautiful. I didn't rage once. Like, we were in all these fights, and I was like, this is uncivilized. I won't engage in these fisticuffs. And then finally I lost it. And it had been repressed for so long that just Tim and all of us describing how I went into rage took like an hour. But it was the best hour of the game. I was I was hallucinating, running through fields of like wheat, like in Gladiator, and like rubbing my hands along the wheat. But then, like, I would suddenly flash back, and I was just covered in blood, and was like, It was wonderful.
It was deep.
Like one of my favorite memories from a Gen Con. Okay, that's me. That's
super deep.
Yeah.
What are you, Lou? Greg? What do you got?
Fine. I like to rage. I go.
Seiko.
Really?
No.
I was just gonna delete you off the fucking broadcast.
No.
You're gone. Gone.
That was beautiful.
It's like all the bookkeeping and the math. It was great.
It was just great.
No, you had to be a bookie to play that game.
Yeah, no, I gotta say, I think what Jason Pullman did in
Are you all gonna say Pathfinder?
No, I'm not. I'm gonna say two answers. One, I'm gonna say what Jason Pullman did with combat maneuver bonus, combat maneuver defense.
Fixed grapple.
Yeah, no, the reason that I love that is because it's wide. It gives a mechanic for things that are wide open. When a player at the table says, well, I'm going to jump up, kick their drink out of their hand, do a backflip over them, lock my knees on the chandelier above, pull out my pistols while I do it, and fire flintlocks at the top of their heads. You know, I have a mechanic for that. All right, that sounds like a combat maneuver to me. You know, and I'm gonna adjust it, you know, a little because that sounded a little tough, but so it just opens things wide open.
Sure.
Do it, you know.
I'm Lou. I like Jason Pullman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry to frog on games. This is a very adult entertainment show.
Let me write an AP. Can I write one now?
So what's your second one? What's your second one, Lou? While we give Greg more time to figure it out.
I've got one, but that's okay.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do. But go ahead with Lou's.
No, Lou. We're pausing you. Go ahead, Greg. What do you have?
Hold on, Lou.
On the spot.
Pause. Okay.
Pause for station identification.
He's paused. My favorite's got to be the sanity check in Call of Cthulhu.
Really?
It's just a great equalizer.
Yeah,
it doesn't matter
it
how
is.
big and bad you are. That can destroy you. I love it.
It can definitely change what a game is. Sometimes you're dealing with Elvis, but
Yeah, I'm sure.
sometimes you're dealing with Elvis.
Yeah, you know, I played a Call of Cthulhu game once where at a convention, and it was the first time usually you sit down at a Call of Cthulhu table, you got a lot of great role players. People are interested in doing that. It's the first time I sat down at a Call of Cthulhu table with a bunch of mechanic wonks.
What?
Right?
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
It's percentiles. What are they working out?
That they were, you know, they had their style of play. It wasn't my style of play. So
I think that's
what
called Rollmaster.
What I decided was that I was going to play a character who had already failed a lot of sanity checks.
Oh, God.
So
you sat down to destroy the game. I got it. Cool.
No, we were state troopers in Montana who had experiences with the supernatural, and more were coming. So I was already like 2 loops short of a fruit, you know.
You're like, game over, man.
Inside of my helmet, I was lining it with tinfoil, you know, walking around going with a twitch and Tourette's, you know. So yeah, the sanity rules are awesome in Call of Cthulhu. You know, they didn't seem to appreciate it too much. Like, why aren't you working to solve this investigation so we can win?
You never win in Call of Cthulhu.
No, you survive. You survive as long as you can.
There's no crying in baseball. There's no winning in Cthulhu.
Yeah.
And you can literally port those rules over into any other role-playing game.
Ravenloft had them for ages.
Yeah.
Ravenloft. I love the Ravenloft rules from that stuff because
Palladium had horror factor and stuff. I loved horror factor in Palladium. It was great.
I still use that stuff for my game and for my
even when Monty did Cthulhu for 3.5. He kept the sanity rules the same with the percentile instead. He did not.
You know what we need to do? The 4 of us need to play like a 4-hour-long Cthulhu session on Google Hangouts.
On here.
No.
Yeah, let's just do it all live.
No, at
I thought we were doing that. Isn't that what this is?
We should. That's why
visiting hours would cut a short.
I'm in the wrong.
wrong hangout.
Go. Sorry.
Click the wrong button. No, you should.
I'm
we
back.
should do a Razor Coast. We should have one of the 4 of us run a Razor Coast and do an intro to Razor Coast.
That would be awesome. Yeah, we should do that. We should run an intro.
There's
I guess
tabletop
we wait till out so that we're not spoiling it.
No carcass.
What?
Oh,
Oh, I could run Carcass for you guys.
No.
I could run Carcass.
That would be horrible.
My eye.
I do that.
Carcass is awful.
We have
Carcass.
adult viewers that would be scared.
Unfortunately, Carcass is now a part of the
Lou wants to
Zodod
know.
world.
Wait. Rowan wants to know if he can come play with us and if he can wear his shark plushie outfit.
Yes.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna be gone for 8 days. When I come back, sometime in the month of February, after Razor Coast has met its goal, Kickstarter is done. You guys are, as deep as you can be in it. we are going to play a Razor Coast, especially now that Greg knows how to click the Hangout button. We're going to play a Razor Coast game as a group. We'll do like a 3 or 4 hour session. Put the time aside, and we'll
I like this plan.
We got to get John Stravopoulos in it.
Sure, oh, Jason, that would be great.
And I want to see Roan in his shark plushie outfit.
And like nobody in the gaming world knows him, Lou, but Big John Esau should definitely play in the adventure.
Oh my God, yes.
Big John Esau should. Actually, there's a character in one of the encounters in Razor Coast. I hope I'm not spoiling anything. His name is Thalios Dondrel, son of Mordecai. Yeah, and that is John Esau's character from the original Razor Coast game that we played at Gen Con. In
Are you serious?
Yeah, his character was the best character I've ever seen. It was so much fun. Yeah,
so
he was this guy
who's
been locked in a brig for like 2 weeks, like eating rats and like.
Oh yeah, that guy.
And he'd completely gone around the bend, but was real jovial about the whole thing. And it was pretty amazing. So he's in there, Big Johnny.
My favorite was Johnny and Stravopoulos at a game. I invited them to some friend's house. They were just sitting in on a game, and they decided to play. Johnny decided to play a character who couldn't speak any of the languages the rest of us spoke.
My buddy Todd is sitting here. He's playing a mute in our game right now.
But John Stravopoulos' character understood his language.
Oh.
Right?
So he was a translator?
He was the translator.
He interpreted for him.
And really, all that John Esau did was babble nonsense words, and John Stravopoulos interpreted however he felt like interpreting it.
That's magic.
It was magic. It was gaming table magic.
I got to play with John and Terry when we stayed at their house for the Gamerati tour, and that was one of the craziest fiasco games I've ever played in my entire life. Trainwreck with Nuns and Babies doesn't describe how crazy that game was. It was insanity. But no, so the question is, which one of you three are going to run Razor Coast then?
I'll run that shit.
Greg.
What do you do?
I want to point to Nick, but I don't know. That's
Nick's on that side.
I'll run that shit. I gotta get a better webcam. This thing
you
is
realize you can see yourself from the bottom. It goes like this. Ready? Follow me. Follow me. You point this way. He is that way. Over there.
Yeah, not on my screen.
When I point this way on my screen, I'm pointing at Greg, but I'm guessing in everyone else's it's reversed and it points to Nick.
Whatever, Nick.
Who's down there?
The guy in the sanatorium, he's the guy who's going to run it. All right, so
we'll check everybody. Brady Bunch.
Doing for me what he usually does.
We will set this
and
up.
Greg is up there watching.
So you guys are all in? Can we get these other people, or are you all in? Rowan said, yep, he'll wear his shark plushie.
That's awesome. Roan is a shark furry will just be amazing.
Rowan, you better go rent that outfit, buddy. You're gonna need it.
Rent? He doesn't have to rent
the
that.
Job.
He owns it. Rowan, do you own a shark plushie? If you do, I'm really scared. It better just be a hat.
Dude, the funniest thing I ever saw was at an Iron Jam Ronan and I are running. There's this guy who comes in a lion furry costume with like the full head.
What did he run?
He's a player at Iron GM, right? So he sits down at the table. Can you imagine that? You're the GM. You're like, okay, I'm going to read everyone.
I had a table full of demons. My table last year, I walked in.
Going,
oh, no. Dude, I knew
Did he talk, or did he just, like, make lion sounds the way some furries do?
I don't know.
I knew nothing.
But there was no expression. I mean, he was wearing a big lion head.
I tell you what, in Iron GM,
I love our people. I love our people.
Our tribe.
This year at Iron GM, I will win by running Razor Coast.
No, you will not. You will get disqualified if you do, because you cannot run pre-published adventures.
You can't run pre-published
material. I will win by using Weresharks.
Okay, that's different.
Okay. Yeah, you could use Weresharks, right?
And it doesn't even have to be one of the 3 ingredients, and I'll still win.
Right. So I think the ingredients will be tulip, the Twilight Zone.
No, I can't hear this stuff. Wait, let me take my headphones
out.
That's my
rule. Right. The desert.
Okay, go
The desert. There's Weresharks. Some dried Wereshark carcasses in the adventure. Just. Yeah. That's all.
All right, guys. Well, I got to say, awesome talking with everybody. I don't get to see you guys but once a year. Nick,
Thanks, Eric.
I haven't seen you in years, Nick. You better.
I know, man. I'm going to Gen Con this year. That's happening.
Stay at the JW Marriott. That's where we're all staying this year.
Okay, everyone, you heard it.
Dude,
Start getting your
first time
bats
in years.
ready.
I'm going to the con. Yep, I'm going to the con.
I know you two will be there. You don't have a choice.
Put your urine up against the screen there, Nick.
Ka-ching. That's my
Everybody.
urine.
Eric.
I'm about to drink it.
Have a great evening. Thank you for joining our broadcast. This is Eric Frankhouse, Lazarus Returns from Refresh and Reload. The rest of these lovely people involved with Razor Coast. And if you didn't enjoy this broadcast, then, well, you're not a human.